Hello friends, so welcome back to Breathe Fix program. We are in the Insight Fellowship program for advanced analytical problem solving expertise. And the very first certification we are just going through is Six Sigma Green Belt. I'm Santosh Naishwar. And as we discussed in a previous video, we are done with analyzed phase. And now we're about to enter into improve phase. And improve phase is all about finding the probable solution, then somehow selecting the potential or critical solutions, the way we selected critical causes into CI matrix. Likewise, selecting the critical solutions from the list of probable solutions and implement it, check it out whether those solutions have improved the performance of the problem or not. And we're going to do it on a short-term basis, on an experimental basis. Because once it's get experimented successfully, then only we'll go for a larger scale. So on that note, let's go ahead and try and further continue on improve phase. Next slide, please. Right. So define phase, we started finding out the different possible problems, and then we prioritize problems with the help of operational lever diagnostics or FMEA. Suppose that we quantify that problem and set the improvement goal, and we document it in the project charter. After that, we located the problem. We try to see where actually the given problem is lying, and that we do it through high-level process map. And that's where we are done with the define phase, which helps us answer a couple of questions. A, what is the prioritized problem? What is a critical problem to work upon, and where that particular problem is lying in the process? Next is measure phase. Measure phase is all about measuring critical causes for that matter and measuring how deep is the given problem. That's where we followed these steps. So step number one in measure phase is defining how are we going to measure the problem. So we are bringing the measurable characteristics in the proposition for a given problem. So understanding the measurable characteristics, right, with the help of performance standard, which is also a one-pager document. Then we started an exercise of finding out probable causes, and we used we have used fishbone diagram to categorize probable causes. Then from the list of probable causes, we selected critical causes with the help of CI matrix. So CI matrix help us find out highly controllable, highly severe, and highly frequent causes. Once we found the causes, critical causes, then we went ahead to collect the data for project Y and critical causes. Why we need to collect data for project Y and critical causes? Of course, we need to further prioritize critical causes to statistically significant causes, and for that sake, we need to deploy statistical test, and statistical test demands data collection, and that's why we're going to do some data collection. So this is about the second part of the equation, y is equal to fx. So we talked about finding or measuring the criticality of the causes. We also need to talk about the first part of the equation, that is y, problem. So we need to measure the criticality of the problem, and that's what we do in a capability analysis. So once that is done, we entered into analyze phase, and in analyze phase we analyze critical causes and try to find out statistically significant causes with the help of chi-square test and the goodness of fit test. That's in graphical assessment, graphical analysis of chi-square goodness of fit test. And here we followed a couple of strategies, strategy 1 and strategy 2. We're trying to find out how to deploy chi-square for both of these strategies. So that's about the analyze phase. Now we are about to enter into improve phase, where now let's understand what we have right now with us. Right now, because we have statistically significant causes. Now we want to solve the problem. What are we supposed to do? It's quite logical. We're supposed to find out the solutions for given causes, right? We need to fix them. So for that sake, we'll go ahead and list down the probable solution to fix the problem, and with the help of solutioning tool. And then, of course, brainstorming session. The way we had a brainstorming to find out the probable causes, we'll again have a similar kind of brainstorming session. By the way, please read here as a goodness of fit test. It's not a goodness F fit test. So that's a bit typo. Please forgive me for that. So yes, list of probable solutions, and from the list of probable solutions, we have to extract, we have to further segregate potential solutions. We are going to do it through solution refining phase, where we do use 4 scanners. What are those scanners? We're going to look into it in details. Then, of course, we're going to develop a solution implementation plan, and these solutions we are going to implement it for the short period of time, because this is experimental solution implementation. At this stage, when we found potential solutions, we are not sure whether these are the actual solutions. So we got to experiment, and when we experiment, we don't experiment for a larger scale. So short period of time, we experiment the given solutions, and if those solutions are validated, in other words, if those solutions have improved the performance of the given Y, and that too it is validated statistically, then only in control phase, that is next phase here, we're going to implement solution on a larger scale. We call it scaling up the solutions. So right now, let's get into improve phase and try to understand, how we are going to go ahead with the improve phase. So next slide, please. Right, so improve phase. So before we proceed, on an improve phase, let's go ahead and understand the objectives of the improve phase. What are the probable solutions to deal with the excess? That's what we discussed, probable solutions. Then are these solutions impactable with minimum viable cost? That's kind of a solution refining. So we are going to find the probable solutions, but again, we cannot implement all the solutions. We have to go ahead and segregate critical solutions. So that is called solution refining phase, or the refining step. Once that is done, our next objective is how to test the improvement of the solution, improvement solutions. So how we are going to test the file study, how to gauge improvement and validate. This is what we're going to look into in this given phase of improve phase. Let's go to next slide. Improve phase step number 1, that is 4.1, generating solutions and refining solutions. Let's go to next slide. Right, so we right now are standing with the potential causes, for that matter, statistically significant causes. Now we got to find out the solutions, probable solutions for these causes. So all we're going to do is, once we are done with statistical analysis, again, we're going to gather in a team. That is, there'll be participants from the operations team. Again, imagine yourself in a huddle, or for that matter, in a brainstorming session, in a conference room. A whiteboard is there. You are there with assistant manager, supervisors, a few of experienced individuals, and then you are talking to them as a greenbelt, and you told them that based on statistical assessment, we found 3 crucial causes, and now we got to find out the solutions to these causes. So we got to fix these causes. If we could fix these causes, it will help us to fix the problem, which is our ultimate goal. So let's come up with as many solutions as possible. Right now, no solution, no idea is done by us. So whatever you think, please do come up. We already carried out similar sort of exercise, during finding the least of the probable causes. So right now, let's find out the probable solutions. So this is what you're going to tell the team. and then there will be some discussions among them, and then you also participate. You might put your viewpoint over there, or maybe you'll take a back seat and then let them discuss about the solutions. So that's about a brainstorming session to generate the idea. So that's what we call it. It also called ideation session. And in our current project of PT non-compliance, we are going to do it for three of these causes: frequent waiting for approvals, high time for raw material inspections, and tool breakdown in machinery. So once a team members, or for that matter participants, will start sharing their views on a probable solution, so you'll start jotting it down either on a white paper, or for that matter on a whiteboard. So that's where you're going to list down the probable solutions. That's the very first step in the interface. So let's go to next slide. So this is how it might look. Causes: cause number one, cause number two, cause number three. And for these given cause, these are the five different solutions they discuss in a brainstorming session. So like one of the member would come up with idea or solutions, and the rest of them put forward their views. And likewise, they'll take each and every solution, each and every idea together, and then they will come up with a list of probable solutions. This exercise, might take hour or a couple of hours to generate probable or possible solutions. So that's about solution generation phase, or for that matter, finding out probable solutions, the brainstorming or ideation phase. So once that is done, so these are the solutions or probable solutions or ideas to curb or to fix this cause, and these are the four ideas to curb this given cause. So this is just summation of all those causes and related ideas to be implemented. So now we are done with first step of listing down the probable solutions that can curb or that can fix the given cause. So let's go to next slide. Right. So once we have the list of probable solutions, we need to find out the critical solutions. So that's where the solution refining phase will come into the picture. And like that of CI matrix, we are also going to have four different scanners over here. So each and every solution which a probable idea or solution, the team listed down, trying to visualize, all you did is you just jotted all those solutions on a whiteboard, right? Then you're going to add four more columns. Column number one, impactability. Column number two, cost associated of implementing the solution. Then third column would be feasibility, and fourth one will be approval. So imagine yourself, you're just jotting it down on a white paper, on a whiteboard. Now you got a list of say n number of solutions, and after that you have four different columns. So each of those columns will ask these four questions. So these are the four different scanners. So each and every solution is supposed to go through these four scanners. So question number one, or scanner number one, would be: is this solution impactable enough? That's what a question will be asked, and team in discussion supposed to answer this question. We can have a majority where almost three or four members of the team will consider yes, and other may not. That is a majority thing. And consensus means all of them together will say yes, this is a possible solution, this is impactable solution. So that's the first thing. So is solution impactable enough? Secondly, that solution, if it is impactable enough, then next question will be: what is the possible cost of implementation? What is the possible cost of implementing this solution? The next question is: can we implement it? So feasibility. These are two different things. Whether this is impactable, this thing, and this thing. Implementable. Implementable is like okay, it is impactable. It might be relatively lesser costlier one, but can we actually implement it on a floor? So that feasibility need to be checked by them, because there might be different challenges, to implement a given solution if it is not a one-time solution, not solutions. So solutions are of two types. So one-time solution, you just implement it one time and that's it. Or other type of solutions are implementing it day in day out basis, right? So you might find few challenges, or for that matter, to implement given solutions, you have to get some like the how to make some policy changes, or for that matter, not every team member you will find comfortable deploying this given solution. So that feasibility thing need to be taken care or checked by the team, which is there into that brainstorming session. And finally, every single solution supposed to go with the fourth or through the fourth scanner, and that scanner is, can we get client or senior management consent to deploy the given solution. Now there is a possibility that given solution might want you to make some changes into the process, right? And that changes into the process might need extra budget. A, or B, but if this is the client's process, take example of IT company, right? So you're working on a client process, right? And if you want to make a changes, you got to take approval from the client, because that's a client's product, client process. And if client is not allowing you, you cannot do it, because client have outsourced his or her, his process to you. And if you want to make some changes in that, of course, without client's permission, you cannot make it. So final and the fourth scanner is, can we get client or senior management consent to deploy the given solution? So that question need to be asked by the team to each other, discuss about it, and then based on that, they're supposed to rate it. By the way, all these four questions is supposed to rate in the scale of 1 to 3, where 1 is low and 3 is high. So on that particular note, let's go to next slide and visualize it how it looks, right? So we had these three causes, and these are the possible solutions we had in a previous step, possible solution. And every single solution will go through this these four scanners I talked about, right? So first column of how impactable it is, and then how cost effective it is, and the second column, third, is how feasible it is to deploy, and finally, can senior management approve it. So based on that, team members need to discuss the rating for each of these solutions across these scanners. So how impactable this particular solution is, right? On schedule machine maintenance example. So in that case, team need to discuss among them whether this is actually implementable, or if it is actually, sorry, if it is actually impactable, highly impactable. So they can have a consensus or they can have a majority. Consensus means all of them are saying yes, this is possible, highly possible, highly impactable. And if they're like five team members, 3 or 4 are saying yes, this is highly impactable, then that's the majority. So that's the difference between majority and consensus. So you can take it, and based on that, for each solution, you got to give the rating across or for each scanners. So maximum is 3. So to take an example, see tool breakdown in machinery, and this is the first solution on scheduled machine maintenance, and the team has given the consensus of the rating of 3 for the question of whether this is impactful. For second question of cost effectiveness, they rated it with 3. That is, both are high. And then feasibility wise, they rated it with 1. So low feasibility of the implementations, or it is relatively less feasible to implement. And finally, on client or senior management's approval, they have rated it with 2. So medium kind of a scale they have given. And then finally, the final column will be the solution priority index, which is nothing but multiplication of all these 4 things. So here you can see 3 into 3, that is 9, 9 into 1, 9 into 2, 18. So the rating would be 18 over here. Likewise, for every single solution, team is supposed to discuss the ratings for these 4 scanners. And based on that, finally, they can multiply the rating and they'll get a solution priority index. By the end of the exercise, we'll find few of the solutions with higher solution priority index or with higher multiplication score, and those solutions will go ahead to implement. Now, what it indicates, this higher solution priority number or index, what it indicates that given solution is highly impactable, it is highly cost effective, it is feasible to implement, and finally senior management, or for that matter client, can approve it. So these solutions in green you can see are highly impactable, highly cost effective, highly feasible, and you might get an, or you will certainly get an approval from the senior management to implement this particular solutions. So on this particular note, we'll just proceed to the next slide. But all we did right now is we started with finding the probable solutions, and then every single solution will go through 4 different scanners, and then we'll get our solution priority index. Higher the solution priority index, better the solution would be to implement. So that's what we are going to look into solution ideations, and followed by solution refining. Let's go to next slide. Step number 4.2, pilot implementation. Just a moment. Different pointer. Yeah, improve phase, step number 4.2, pilot implementation. And now what we do have in step 4.1, we somehow able to find out the potential solutions to be implemented, the solutions which are highly impactable, solutions which are highly cost effective, then solutions which are easy to implement, for that matter, right? So feasible to implement, and of course those solutions where we can very easily get a client's or senior management's approval. So based on that, team or participants have rated those solutions, and then based on that we got solution priority index, and higher the solution priority index, we have selected or segregated those solutions with a higher solution priority index which we need to implement. But are we going to implement at a larger scale? No. Why is that so? Because even though we found those solutions with higher solution priority indexes, but that is still based on the opinion of 4 or 5 or 6, or for that matter, whatever number of participants are there in that brainstorming session, right? So that's the opinion of those individuals, even though those are the senior individuals, they know the process well, but still that's the opinion. So now we found the solutions, we are going to implement it on a short-term basis, which we also call it experimental basis. So we are going to experiment with these solutions for short period of time. Then once we implemented it, we are going to testify, where we're going to check whether the improvement is achieved or not based on this solution implementations. In other words, whether these solutions do have a potential to bring improvement in the process. So we are going to check it out on a short-term basis, and once we have seen yes, this is working, then we'll go and scale it up in control phase. This is what the logic behind the improve phase, and this is the connect between improve phase and control phase. Not to forget, when we are going to approve that these are the given solutions, because these solutions implementation is showing some improvement, this is going to be based on statistical validation of the improvement. So what is statistical validations and all those stuff? Of course, we are going to look into upcoming video, but for right now, let's go ahead and understand pilot or short-term basis or experimental implementation. So what are different things are associated with this short level or short-term implementation? Let's go to next slide, please. Right. So pilot implementation. In order to better understand the effects of solutions and to learn how to make the implementation more effective, each solution is implemented for short-term basis. An implementation plan is developed for solutions, and solutions are implemented on pilot basis. That is, for short period of time, or temporarily on experimental basis or short period of time. That's what we're going to implement the pilot, right? To check whether these solutions are actually giving the or showing the results. Piloting phase is preparation for the unintended consequences. So it helps us understand the unintended, unknowing, unexpected, or unpredicted consequences, of implementations. Right. So let me read it again. Piloting phase is a preparation for the unintended consequences of implementing solutions before permanent deployment. So that's what piloting phase do. Then finally, piloting phase track challenges that occurs during solutions deployment and fix them. Maintain cause log and solutions log for fixed challenges. So while implementing the solutions, we'll be able to find out what are different challenges we are seeing, or there might be different challenges which we haven't thought about during a brainstorming session of finding probable solutions. So there we perhaps not have thought about this kind of challenges, but when those challenges will come, of course, while implementing the pilot solution, a pilot project, or implementing on a pilot basis, we'll be able to find out those challenges. We can go ahead and try and find out what are the probable causes of those challenges, and those challenges, how to handle those or tackle those challenges. So all these things will document in a cause and solution log. So this will help us while implementing these solutions on a large scale basis. So we'll be prepared for the things. Right now, we are not prepared for any challenge or any unintended consequences. So pilot phase help us to be ready for all those things. And that is why it is on an experimental or short-term basis. So that's about the pilot implementation. Let's go to next slide. Yes. So while implementing the solutions on a pilot basis, we have to hand over an implementation plan to the operations team. So you as a green belt will develop this implementation plan, and this implementation plan will look like this. You do have these many different parameters. So vital access, of course, we have a solution for the access. So you need to just jot down those vital access in column number 1. Whatever access you do have, 1, 2, 3, 4. Proposed solutions. Now these proposed solutions are solutions with high solution priority index, right? So those solutions will be there for a given cause. Then we have to come up with a timeline of implementation. It's not like you will take 6 months and 10 months to implement the solution. You got to implement it as early as possible. That's a timeline of implementation, or tight timeline of implementation, I would say. We'll put it over here for each solutions, right? Then expected result. Now, after implementing this given solution, what are you expecting? So what are the expected things, expected results out of implementing the solution? That is still expected or estimated result. So what is expected to happen after implementation? We'll just jot it down over here. So team and you will be on the same page while implementing it. We are implementing solutions to achieve this. We have a goal in front of our eyes. So that's what our expected result will take care or will help us to understand. Then of course, when it comes to solution implementation, there are possibilities that people may keep on throwing the ball in other sport, that you are responsible to implement, or you are the responsible to implement, and then he will say, no, I'm not responsible, you are responsible to implement. So you got to define who is going to be responsible to implement a given solution. Ideally, for each shift, it will be supervisor who will ensure, or who is responsible to implement a solution. Next column is who will ensure that supervisor will ensure to deploy this particular solution. So that accountable person will come over here. The supervisor is responsible person, and this is the accountable person who will ensure that supervisor ensures solution implementation. right? So you're not going to, you're not going to blame this person if solutions are not implemented properly. This is going to be this individual, this gentleman. He is supposed to ensure that solutions are smoothly implemented across the ships. And what is the confirmation? I mean, what is the proof that solutions are implemented? So confirmation would be confirmation email by manager each week to senior management that yes, they have implemented the solutions or they are implementing the solution. And this is how you can keep a track whether solutions are properly implemented or not. Why solution implementation plan is so much important? You know, we can find out a prioritized problem in defined phase. We can also find out critical causes and statistically significant causes into measure and analyze phase. But by the end of the day, if we, and of course, we can find out probable or critical or potential solutions in improve phase. But until and unless we implement it, we are not going to get a result out of it. And that is why solution implementation plan is very important. What need to be taken care, what is expected out of it, who is responsible to implement, who is accountable, and what is the proof of implementation. So all these factors or parameters will be there into solution implementation plan. Let's go to next slide. Right, so solution implementation plan, these are what the causes, these are the examples, these are what the causes we have. Then propose solutions here, right? The timeline to implement, you got to start it in 1 week. If it is long time implementation, if it is one time implementation, then you got to quickly implement it in 15 days, 10 days, or whatever. So that need you need to decide, and not you need to decide, team need to decide. They need to give the promise or commitment that this within this timeline we'll implement a solution that will come. Then expected results. So what is going to happen? It will help. Take an example that frequent waiting for approvals. So expected result will be reduced incidences of operational delays due to approval on different occasions. So likewise, you can have an expected results out of it. So when you're going to work on this, ultimately it is going to help you reduce the time allocated for a given waitings or approvals, which is not necessary delivered or not necessarily allocated to this kind of activities. So this is what this is what is expected. And of course, responsible person, supervisor, accountable person, plant manager, who will ensure solutions are implemented by supervisors. And finally, confirmation of implementation, solution implementation confirmation email by manager each week to top management. So manager will share, or manager will mail mail it to senior management or top management that yes, we are implementing the solutions or we have implemented the solutions. So tomorrow there shouldn't be a situation where solutions were not implemented. So we have the proof that yes, those are implemented. So we're going to do it for all the statistically significant causes. So this is how solution implementation plan will look. Of course, we are going to have a third cause as well, but this is just an example to show it to you, right? This is how it looks. So the previous slide, this is the template, right? You can just download that template and start utilizing that template for solution implementation plan for you. And at the same time, this is the example how it will look, and this is the example of our current case study of PT non-compliance, that processing time non-compliance. So on that note, let's go to next slide. Yes, this is quiz time now. We are having few questions here. Step of solution refining, consider following aspect in selecting solutions from list of probable solutions. And these are the 4 different aspects, or these are 4 different parameters: impact of solutions, cost of implementations, feasibility of implementation, and management approval. So are we considering all these 4 aspects or all these 4 parameters? True or false? And the answer is true. Yes, we do consider impact of the solution, cost of implementation of the given solution, then feasibility of implementation, and finally management approval. And based on that, we will choose, or we will select most valuable solutions to be implemented in a pilot phase or pilot step. Next, we select solutions with lower solution priority index for implementation in pilot phase. And the answer is Is it true? Are we going to select the low one? No, answer is false. You got to choose the false. I decided to just give this flavor right now. I just want to check out whether you are tracking the video properly or not. No, the answer is wrong. We don't select the lower solution priority index. We always select higher solution priority index. So always answer is false. So for a time being, we'll consider red is right, not green is right now. Okay, so this is just to have that fun with you all, right? So we select solutions with lower solution priority index for implementation in pilot phase. Answer is false, right? So please do remember, don't follow the colors, do follow the actual answer. So answer is false. Next slide. In pilot phase, solutions are implemented for long-term or short-term basis, and the answer is short-term basis. Now here, of course, we have to select the green one. Short-term basis, not long-term basis. So on a short-term basis or experimental basis or pilot basis, we're going to implement the solutions with higher solution priority indexes to check whether those solutions are actually giving some results or not, or in other words, whether those solutions are actually improving the performance of a given problem or not. So next question. Piloting phase is preparation for the unintended consequences of implementing solutions before permanent deployment. True or false? And the answer is true. Follow the green. So yes, answer is true. In pilot phase, we try to find out what are possible unintended consequences going to occur. So that will help us to prepare ourselves for control phase, where in control phase we are going to implement the solutions on a larger scale basis. So that's why piloting phase is preparation for the unintended consequences of implementing solutions before permanent deployment in control phase. And then solutions implementation plan includes following parameters. So timeline of implementation. Do we have a timeline of implementation in solution implementation plan? Next, do you have expected result in solution implementation plan? Do we have responsible person to implement and who should ensure solutions implemented? Do you have those responsible and accountable person's name in a solution implementation plan? And finally, do we have confirmation of implementations? In other words, are we going to have all these 5 parameters in solution implementation plan? True or false? And answer is follow the green. That is true. It is absolutely true. So yes, so this is what we have covered. We just now have covered listing down of probable solutions to fix the problem, then selecting potential solutions from list of probable solutions, then developing solution implementation plan. And then next thing is we also looked into pilot deployment, that is testing solutions by implementing them on a short-term basis. So this is what we have covered in improve phase. In upcoming video, we are going to look into collecting the data for project Y after implementing the solution. So the way we collected data of project Y and causes in major phase, we're also going to collect the data of project Y, but just project Y, not causes right now in an improve phase. Now, why we need data? Because we have to prove whether project Y's performance has improved over the period of time or not. Means post improvement and pre-improvement. Pre-improvement means in a major phase. In a major phase, we have project Y. Now, when we're going to collect improve phase data, say for 1 month, we're also going to have a data for project Y for improve phase. Now we got to compare both of these project Ys and try to see whether project Y has improved or not. But we are going to do it with the help of statistical assessment. So all those things, how to do it, will be there in a next upcoming video. So we're going to compare pre-improvement project Y and post-improvement project Y with the help of 2P test. Do you remember we talked about 2P test in one of our question? And we mentioned that we'll look into 2P test in an improve phase. So this is what we're going to look into the next video. So on that particular note, thank you so very much for your time. Uttishta Bharata, Bharati shall rise again in a full glory. So please help us to reach out to your friends, families, neighbors, and help them understand how impactful and valuable Breath of Age program is for them, especially for employment, and not only for employment, but to grow in their own organizations as well. Because we are talking about advanced analytical problem solving skill sets, which every single company on this planet would expect to have in their employees or in their managers or in their freshers or in whatever resources they do have. So all such resources are assets for the organization. So be the asset for the company you're associated with or working with or going to work with in an upcoming future, and help this nation rise again in a full glory. So on that note, let's go ahead and thank technology companies before we end this particular video. We deeply appreciate following technology companies for their technological support. Right, so this is what we have in this video, and let's meet up in upcoming video and have a wonderful, wonderful day and time ahead. Until then, thanks a lot.